Okay, let's see how to build a basic chatbot application. So first let me start the backend. So to start the backend, I just need to run my file. Okay, now backend I have implemented in Python and Flask. Okay, when the backend is up, then we will start the front end. Okay, so backend is started. Now it is running in port number 5000. Okay, and so in the backend, what is happening is, you see, I have this route, right? So HTTP 5000 slash chatbot. If I type now, this function will be called. This home function will be called. Okay, and what it is rendering, it is this render underscore template is part of Flask. I already installed Flask. Pip install Flask. I already installed Flask. So this render template, right? This render template basically renders this HTML. Okay, let's understand clearly what this render template does. So render template is a function in Flask. It is responsible for rendering the HTML templates. With like when you are building your Flask application, right? There you want to separate your application will be doing something, right? It will be fetching data from the database, it will be manipulating the data. So that logic and putting the logic in HTML, right? These two logic you want to separate. That time you use render template. So how it works is basically this is the template file. Okay, this index.html is a template file. Into this template file, I'm passing some variables, some data you have got in your application. This data has to be put in your HTML file. So, I'm passing name, age equal to this age, okay, and then hobbies equal to this array. And in the template file, right, I have used this variable name. This variable name, right, I have used it here, and you have to use it within two curly braces. Okay, and then hobbies is an array, so I am looping through the array. So the syntax to loop through the array is, right, percentage and percentage within the curly braces for hobbies and hobbies, and then this is the end of the for loop, end for, and then here you can have a line item. This is an line item. Each line item will be a hobby. So this loop will run for all the data in the array. So here what happens is this render template file, right? Render template function takes this template file, okay, and then it puts the value of the variable in the HTML content and then generates the HTML content. Okay, usually that content is returned. Okay, that content is what goes back to the browser. So a render template file takes a template file. This is the template file, and it substitutes the value of the variable, right, in the template file and generates the complete HTML content, and the content is what sent to the browser. Browser just displays the HTML content. So this is here the HTML content is generated in the backend in the server. So this is called server side rendering, right? And if you get the data alone from the backend and in the front end you generate the HTML file, then it is called client side rendering. Okay, so this is what render template does. So in our application, so I'm using Flask. So Flask underscore underscore name. This underscore name is a variable in Python. With the variable value will be main. Like if I'm executed Python, right? This is how I executed, right? So in app.py, right? This variable name will be main. So with main as argument, I am creating a Flask application. This is the app, right? And this is called decorator. So this decorator, right? What it does is any request coming to this slash chatbot endpoint, this function, home function will be called. There I am just printing and returning the this HTML file I'm returning. I'm not filling any values, right? I didn't pass any arguments here. So just the HTML file I'm returning. And using this decorator, right? I For this get endpoint, this function will be called. So in this function, how in the body, right, in the args, you get some message, right? So request dot args dot get the message. Now I'm getting the message. Okay, this is the message I'm getting, right? Get the message, and then printing the message, and to the message I'm adding received and then replying. Okay, so now I'm doing app.run. This is similar to app.listen in Node.js, right? It will start a HTTP server, okay, and it will start listening in a port number, right? Before that, you are basically using this decorator. You have mentioned what are the routes, right? For this route, this function will be called. This is how this is called decorator. In Spring Boot, it is called annotation, okay, and this is how you register your routes with your framework. Different ways of registering. In Node, you use app.use. Okay, so there's different way you register with your application. So basically, how it works, you have your Flask. This is a complete backend. Let's assume this is a complete backend. Here you have your Flask library, and here you have your code, right? Your application. Let's say I put our application. So this is our application, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm creating an app, right? And then I'm registering the route. Okay, so this is our backend code, right? And in the front end, you have browser. From the browser, you will get some HTTP request that will come to the Flask. So when it comes to the Flask, in the HTTP request, if the endpoint is /chatbot, from your application, we are registered with the Flask. What we are registered? We are registered this function, home function. So Flask will call our home function if the endpoint is this one. Okay, we'll see that. And if it is /get, Flask will call this function. So this is how it works. Now let's see how our application works. So this is the URL. I'll copy the URL, and then I have to put /chatbot. Okay, I will copy this, and /chatbot is here. Oh, okay. This is the page I'm getting. Okay. So if I send anything, right, what my chatbot will reply? That message, this get function will be called. See the chatbot route. This print has come. Okay. So if I send any message, if I click send, what is happening? This route is getting called, right? This get route is getting called, and whatever message you got, right? Hi, you got, right? You are adding received to it and replying. So you are getting received here. I received here. Anything you do, right? If you send, received it added to it and reply. Okay. So this is our application, and the changes we need to do is this complete application, right? You should have a chat icon. That chat icon, if you click, then only this complete box should get popped up. Like you see in many places, right? The complete box should get popped up, only click that icon. And when you click that icon again, then it has to come down. Okay, and the same way it has to work. So only thing is you need to add a chat icon, and when you click this has to come up, and this it has to go down. Okay, we will also understand how this front end works, right? How this display came, and then we will also do the chat icon.